All right, everybody, welcome to episode 20 of the Honda VFR CBR 800 V4 build. This will be the only bike like this in the world. If you were here for the last episode, you know we got the ZX-10R inverted forks on. The episode before that, we got on the custom Cognito Moto triple clamps, which are very nice. Custom machine just for this bike. Also, we got on the driven clip-on handlebars, which are sweet, and the PSR Shorty Levers. Also, if you guys want to qualify to win this bike, have this bike in your garage, just go over to the Patreon site at patreon.com/motopilot. Sign up there to help sponsor the build series for as little as $1. You can qualify to win the bike. Now, if you want to increase your odds of owning this bike, just sign up for a higher dollar amount. That'll increase your odds of winning the machine. Let me show you what the goal is today. All right, as you can see here, this is the stock from Brake Rotors. They're tired, they're ugly. One of them is bent. So I bought a new set of wave rotors. These things are really nice. They got this nice machine aluminum insert here. These are like an off-brand that I bought. I found them on eBay for around 160 bucks for the pair, which is great. You can spend $350 per disc if you want. I also noticed one of the fork seals was leaking. Normally I always put new fork seals on the bike, so we got new seals for that and new wipers, around 26 bucks. And then I always put new bearings in my wheels, especially on a bike that's older. This is a 2004. So when we had the wheel powder coated, I took out the bearings. We're going to put in a new set of bearings and dust seals. And then over here, we got the freshly powder coated front wheel. I went with the matte black to match the back and the rest of the frame and everything. We got this tire down here. A lot of people don't agree with this tire, but I saw an Aprilia Tuono with these tires on it, and it just looks mean and aggressive. And I talked to the guy, and he's like, I ride this thing as hard as anybody rides in the canyons. So don't think this tire won't meet your riding ability. Trust me. The tire is called a Metzeler Karoo 3. So the first thing for today, I'm going to take this down, get the tire mounted, come back, put everything together. Powder coating your wheels is something you can do to your bike to give it a huge change. Go with any color you want. They have so many colors to choose from, and it's relatively inexpensive and easy to do. Let me tell you the process I use, and you may be thinking, I want to do that to my bike. First thing I'll say is this: it's best to do this when you're getting ready to change out your tires. You know, because the tires obviously need to be stripped off. So rather than paying an extra expense just to have your tires stripped and put back on, you're gonna do it anyways, changing your tires, so that's a good time to do it. Though you obviously don't have to wait till that time. So get your tires pulled off, pop out your stock bearings. You can't get your wheels powder coated with the bearings and the seals in there because they put the wheel in a 400-degree oven, something like that. It's very hot. And they sandblast it, sand gets everywhere. What I did to get out my bearings at home is I just took a long punch, came in from one side through the other side, and just slowly tapped around the bearing, around and around. I mean, it really literally came right out. It was very easy to pop out. Flip the wheel over, do the other bearing, and then take your wheel into the powder coater. Now, the cost for powder coating is so stinking cheap. The place I go to, I use R&R in Corona, California. I paid $40 to get that wheel powder coated. And what I really like about powder coating too is it's very strong. It's literally baked on paint. So it's thick, it's sturdy, it's scratch resistant. I love it. Now I do always replace the bearings with new ones. Pivot Works is a very good source. I think you can get a set of wheel bearings and seals for around 35, 40 bucks. It's relatively inexpensive. Now, then before you take your wheel in to get your tire mounted up, make sure you put the bearings back in the wheel so they can do a spin balance on it. I almost forgot to do that. Turned around and went back home. I was only a block away. What I do to get my bearings back in without having to use a press is I put the bearings in the freezer for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And then I find a socket that's the same size or just a little bit smaller than the outside of the bearing. And then just hammer the bearing in. It should slide right in pretty easy. First thing I do before I do that though is I take some sandpaper, clean up the bearing surface. That gives it a nice clean surface to slide into. And then just take your fingers and pop in the new seals. Make sure everything is driven in all the way. When you're hammering the bearings in, make sure you feel them stop. Now, what I always use is a local small shop for doing my tire changes. If you go to a dealership, they wanted $65 just to put a tire on one time. Not to take a tire off and put a new one on, just to put a tire on. I can go to Cha 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 Motorsports in Riverside, and they'll do a complete tire swap for me for like 25 bucks. Use your small shops, not the big ones for this stuff. They take you for a ride. I don't know. All right, so something I want to show you guys here is the stock rotor has the ABS braking ring here. I'm actually not a huge fan of ABS, and there's no holes for it on here, so I'm not even going to worry about it for this new front wheel. But man, look at that, it looks so good. Love it. So what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll torque these later. I don't like to torque stuff as I'm building, it just kind of slows me down. And I like to do all my torquing on the bike at once. So there it is, man. Looks good. All right, let's pull the forks off the bike and get in those new seals. I only had the top bolts tight for these, so that makes it real easy to get out. All right, so to get the forks apart, there's a big bolt in the bottom. We're going to take that out. It really helps to have one of these to drive it fast. And be careful because that bolt is what holds the oil in. So I'm just going to crack it loose. Okay. And then let's bring it over here. There we go. Actually, the oil doesn't look that bad. Just kind of run your fork up and down. Helps the oil come out. And there's not going to be a ton of oil either. There's not a lot of oil in forks. And now that that bolt's out, we can just come in here and just slide the fork apart. It's best to do it over the little oil tub here. A little bit of oil left in there. There you go. It's that easy. That's where the bolt came from. Okay, so we should just be able to get this dust seal out of here with a flathead screwdriver. There you go. And then for the fork seal, there's a little round clip that goes around the surface right here. You can just get in there too with a flathead screwdriver. It's easy to get on. Just kind of pop that out. Watch your eyes. And then now we'll just pull out the fork seal. Just kind of slowly work your way around it. I mean, you can be a little rough with it because you're just, you're going to throw it away anyway, so there we go. Okay, so we're not going to slide the seal and dust cap in here. What we're going to do is we're going to slide them over this tube here. Make sure you get them on the right way. So if this is in like this, we want to do, you want the fork seal like that. Going to slide this on first. Nope, I'm sorry, dust cap first. Just slide on a little bit and slide on your seal. Be careful. You don't want to jack this thing up. There we go. And then we're going to slide this here on the fork. And don't have to slide all the way in, just a little bit. And then we're going to install the seal in the dust cap. All right, so what I have here is just a stitch in here for my small 1/4-inch drive. I'm just gonna slowly work my way around, tapping it in. You want it to go in straight as possible, so just do little by little. Okay, I'm switching to a punch here. I have a little punch. It's about 3 3/16 diameter, so it fits between the fork tubes. Okay, so you'll know when your seal's in far enough when you can see the groove for this little clip we pulled out earlier. So we just take this thing here, put it on like that, and just pop it in with your fingers. You maybe need to slide it all the way in with a little, I'll just use my punch here. There you go, did you hear that pop? So make sure that's in the groove. Let's double check it. Yeah, it's all good. And then just take your dust seal here, slide it right on. So the last thing to do is put the bolt back in the bottom. Make sure you have your brass washer. Now it's a good idea to replace this, but if you don't have one laying around, I just took a flat file and just filed it real good and got it nice and flat again. So let's just put it on here. This long Allen works really good because you got to get way deep in there. That nice and tight, and that's one down. Put oil back in it, but I'm not even going to do that today. I need to get some oil. Just want to get the fresh seals in, get the forks back on, get the wheel on. All right, guys, that is a wrap for this episode. I think the front end turned out fantastic. I love the brake discs, the rim, the tire, everything. Now that is a big tire. That is a 150. On the back of the bike, we have a 180. Normally on the front, you run a 120. It's a 150. The reason it's that big is when I first started this project, I wanted a big, beefy front end. And definitely that's what we have. So I'm gonna live with it for now. As we go along, if I want to drop it down to 120, we can always do that. But it definitely looks different, and I like to do builds of bikes that look different than everybody else's bike. That's it for this build. The great thing is now we have both wheels on the bike finally after months. Now I can take the stand out from underneath the bike, work on the exhaust. We got a custom header going on this thing in the next episode. with custom exhaust tips, and so I'm pretty excited about that. Don't forget, if you want to own this bike when it's done, go over to the Patreon, sign up. See you guys next episode.